Anyway, the whole idea of this chat is just really to have a talk through what we did and what you did, Phil,
Hmm.
because unbeknown to us, until I saw on Facebook today what you posted, I didn't realise what you guys had been up to, and uh, and it's amazing. So, hence the reason why I wanted to have this video chat with you, to find out how it went, because we know how our event went. Um, but this is incredible what you did. So back over to you. Maybe you can give us a bit of background.
Yeah, no problem. Well, like I say, I mean, we've been running the lockdown net now. We've done 36 of them as of Saturday, and basically we decided to put a bit of a spin on it. Obviously, with what you guys have organised, of course, and something we had in the pipeline, so we put them together, and it worked out quite well. It worked out really well. I think we had 9 foundation calling. Some of them are newly licensed. Some of which have been previous shortwave listeners for us, because we do have SWLs as well. I think the record we've had is 10 SWLs in a single evening, which is quite good. So yeah, we had 9 foundations on, and of course it was a handful of us using our original call signs as well. And it just made for great fun. It was a good evening all round, really. People were getting passed around. Nobody was getting left out. Everybody's treated like an equal, and that's basically the way that we like to run things up here.
Yeah. Did you find that you got treated any differently because you was using a lesser call sign?
I did go through a little bit of that thing, and that's something that we up here on the lockdown net, it's something we don't want to do. Everyone should be inclusive, irrespective of what call sign you hold, and I think that was the entire point behind Saturday night, really.
And Oscar was asking me, kind of like, what's the plan? How are we going to deal with people? Because I knew the location that I was going to be working from. Oscar obviously didn't. And
Yeah,
I knew what to expect. And I knew that as soon as I called CQ, fingers crossed, there'd be quite a few people coming back. So Oscar says, well, if you end up with a pileup, he says, how are you going to work out who to work first? And it made sense to work the stations that we were there to work first.
yeah,
So therefore, in actual fact, we were a little bit prejudiced. We were prejudiced towards foundation holders. So we actually tried to work all of the foundation licenses, and then once we'd got them out of the way, then move on to the other call signs.
yeah,
And I think that worked, didn't it, Oscar?
Yeah, it definitely did. I was just looking through the logbook of the statistics of when I did the 2-hour stint. So I got on, didn't I, between about 9:15 and and finished about 11:45. And we spoke to, or I spoke to 31 people in total, of which 7 were foundation. But there was a situation a couple of times where we called out and there was a bit of a pile up, and you'd hear the strong station first, then underneath that, just as they dekeyed, you'd hear someone a bit weaker. So I made the conscious effort to say, look, can we take any M7s first or foundation?
yeah,
And lo and behold, 2 were there. And I think that's the thing. Again, anyone who runs QRP, even maybe an intermediate grade, only on 50 watts, after a couple of minutes, if you keep calling and you're not getting picked out, you get fed up and you move on possibly. And I was very conscientious that I didn't want that to happen, because I know how it feels. I think we've all know how it feels when we started at a lower grade of license before we moved up. So yeah, I think that worked really, really well. And I think anyone who's of a higher license grade is understanding on that. I don't think it was a problem. So yeah, that worked really, really well. But
So I had to scrounge a piece of paper off Oscar because I took everything that I needed, including the sink and the cooker, but I forgot paper. So I had to scrounge a piece of paper off Oscar. So Oscar ripped a piece of his RSGB logbook out for me, and all but, well, let's say 3/4 of the 4th page, there's about 80 contacts just on that sheet of paper. So that was day 2. Day 1 was all electronic login. It was absolutely crazy on the Sunday, as I expected it to be. I would suggest that probably our bit 200, 250.
So you're averaging. Well, I was averaging about 15 an hour.
Which is great. You know, 1 every 4 minutes. It was never aimed to be a 5.9 QRZ. I managed to get a couple of people in my logbook that I was really, really happy with. I managed to work Lewis, you know, M3HHY. I also worked Simon, he's another YouTuber, M0YKS. He actually drove to his holiday home just to have the QSO with me. He could hear me, but he couldn't get back to me from home. You know, you worked that portable station out doing a SOTA activation at 11:30 at night, didn't you?
Oh God, yeah. So that was
YP.
Tom. Yeah.
Yeah, Tom. You worked Mark M0XJR as well. He was portable. He's one of us. He's the resident quizmaster for our side of things. He checked in with you as well.
Just going back to M1EYP portable, I think we worked him about just after 11 o'clock, and he was on a handheld out in that weather, which was crazy, at a trig point or somewhere. And then he said, "Oh yeah, I'm going to leave here in a minute, and I'm going to drive down to wherever it was, some other peak, some in the other county or something, and I'm going to work that one at like past midnight." And me and Mike were like, "Are you off your head?"
I think he normally works on the cloud.
Nothing. That was it, cloud. That's where he was at. Yeah.
Cloud.
Yeah, I was just going to say, this looking through the logbook, I think the highlight for me, which I'm really happy about, is we worked one of the lighthouse on the air stations that operated over the weekend. That was a high point for me, and that was Golf Bravo 2 Bravo Hotel Lima, which was the lighthouse on the Wirral, I think, over near Birkenhead.
Oh, yeah.
Lighthouse England 009, I think he said it was, Dave, at the radio club there. That was a good one. I thought, you know, it's quite nice. Then obviously we've got our friend there, Tom, who was portable at Cloud. That was quite a good one. Just trying to think if there's any other. And we obviously had a few Welsh stations. That was nice to get GW in the log.
Yeah, there's a couple on here that I worked actually. M7BRI, I've worked Brian.
Yeah, Brian checked in with us. He was on Malcop.
Yeah, I've worked him a couple of times. I think I may have even worked Brian. I don't know, I could be getting confused. I've worked a number of people who have just received their call sign.
Right.
I may have worked Brian as like his #1 contact or something.
Wow, that's great.
There's been a couple over the last month that when I've been out portable, they've said, "Oh, you're the first person I've ever spoken to," or "I only got my license yesterday." M7STE as well. That's a call sign I know.
Steve is one of us as well. He also chairs the lockdown net. Before, when I said an M7 did the first one, that's Steve. But yeah, Steve usually goes out portable, but he was at home. Mark, who's usually at home, went out portable, XJR. And then we had Bob walking around with a 3-element beam in his hand round Orwich Town Centre. So yeah, it was a bit like that, really. So you can imagine. But I think my highlight of the evening, really, apart from Bob, of course, was the Mike Whiskey 3, Papa Mike Bravo, Paul. Nice to have a chat to someone who took the license the same time as me. It was just generally fun anyway. You know, we do have a relaxed time every single time, you know. People can come and go as they choose. They don't have to have long overs. They can just check in and then they're quite happy. But I suppose it depends how people are feeling. Yeah.
So with regards to the club, tell me something about the club.
Well, the lockdown net's not really run by any club as such, although we are. I mean, I'm part of Chorley Club and I'm part of Southport Club as well. Right. We were running the lockdown nets. We did want to do something prior to lockdown, but lockdown just brought it on for us a bit quicker. And like I say, we did number 36, net number 36 on Saturday. Prior to that, we had a quiz night on Wednesday. You know, but with the way things are at the moment, obviously clubs are all closed, so we're having to improvise make do and mend.
So this is basically a bunch of guys that are not necessarily connected by club; they're just connected by radio.
Well, mainly, it originally came about was we was at Charlie Club and we formed a subcommittee made up of 5 people.
Mm-hmm.
4 of us actively are on the lockdown net, which is Steve STE, Mark XJR, John M6HBU, and myself. So we've been taking it in turns to chair these different evenings for people, and we just thought that it'd be a good idea to try and get a level playing field. Let's say, with the original call sign evening. So that's mainly why we did that. But yeah, so we were born out of being a subcommittee for Charlie Club, and of course with clubs being closed, we took the lead. We basically took the initiative and the lead, and made it to what it is today. We've got quite a lot of regulars. More often than not, we've got new check-ins as well. So it just seems to be growing and growing in the right direction, really. Certainly, online exams have had a huge impact and have done absolutely tons for the hobby. And so there is a lot of positives that we can take out of it, really, radio-wise.
And I think at the end of the day, it needs that positive outlook on life to be able to see things in a positive light, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really inspired. When I look at your list, for instance, and when I look at our logbook, the amount of M7s obviously signifies fresh blood coming into the hobby, which I think the hobby has needed for so long. And I think, one of the things that I think really drove us and equally drove you was a way of doing something on the air that gave all these new guys the ability to chat to people.
Yeah.
And not to be worried about, I'm a new operator and I'm only an M7, and so therefore, none of these full licenses or none of these G call signs are going to want to talk to me. Because at the end of the day, this is a hobby and it's there for everybody to enjoy themselves, isn't it?
That's it. It is a hobby at the end of the day. We do have to remember that. And that's another thing that we're trying to do as well, is we're trying to have a level playing field where everyone can get involved, irrespective of whatever your call sign is. At the end of the day, we're all still humans, aren't we? So, there's no reason why anyone has to be treated any differently. So that's one of our main aims, is to really get hold of the new people and just say, right, come on, let's show you the ways, let's teach you these things, because if we don't, we're in danger of losing a lot of the old ways anyway. So I think it's more than appropriate to actually get people involved from the word go, get them stuck into stuff, and not just sat around drinking cups of tea. That's exactly where we're coming from anyway.
Us more established operators, I think it's our duty, in actual fact, to lead by example.
Yeah.
And to show, to demonstrate and to guide these new license holders into how to operate properly. I think the problem is, in lockdown, everybody is isolated. The clubs aren't going. There's a lot less mentoring, or almaring, as the Americans call it.
Yeah.
And so therefore, a lot of these new M7s are getting their license, but they've got nobody, stood there and say, look, just do this. If you do it like this, then you'll get better results. But I find it, totally inspiring that all of these new people are coming into the hobby, because the hobby needs fresh blood.
It's fantastic, isn't it? And we should be acting as amateurs, like you say. We're mentoring people. We should be acting now, really, to nurture the new licensees and returning ones. We've had returning people as well, of course. And I think we do have a form of responsibility, let's say, to continue traditions, and also help guide people, really. New guys have been they've been great, to be fair. They've been great because, like I say, some of them have been shortwave listeners prior, so they know the drill, they know what's going on and stuff. They let us know they're there via Facebook or text or whatever, which is great, and of course to get a mention, and I think that is key to also helping them then develop into becoming an operator themselves, you know, and we just got to get them now while we can, really, and keep hold of them.
You're quite right, and I think it is our responsibility as operators to lead by example.
Couldn't agree more. You know, just on Phil's point about people returning to the hobby, that's exactly what I did 2 years ago, and you know, I've been out of the game for nearly 18, 19 years, so I come back and just trying to remember stuff, and stuff has changed as well. The hobby's moved on in technology, and new bands and different protocols and different rules. Just I didn't realise there was any changes, and maybe I'm lazy, but I didn't go and try and seek out that knowledge. But I'm now learning through other people, going, oh, we've got some other frequencies you can go on now that weren't around, and etiquette might have changed, or that's now in the license and conditions, or now that isn't. So I think not just M7s or Foundation, it can apply to anyone, can't it? And even G stations that have been out for a long time. We can all deal with some help, and I think the more accessible now with these platforms of YouTube and Facebook and social media, it's just going to be so much easier for people to grab that knowledge and absorb it. And I think and the feedback we've got, we wasn't advertising our email addresses at all at the weekend, but people have looked us up on qrz.com. Yeah. And I've had about 2 emails. I think Mike's had, probably more than that, of people just saying thank you. And we're like, no, thank you.
It's definitely a hobby that needs people supporting people and elmering people. So, and I think that's one of the great things about the hobby. You never know everything. Absolutely never know everything. Overall, it was a brilliant success. And I think it also is a good place to start thinking about how we can keep the activity going, because it's clear there are stations there to work.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, with the lockdown net, we've had to do the same thing, because obviously when you're getting on to week 36, we've still got diehards, if you like, coming in, but still to this day, we're getting new check-ins or a new shortwave listener. And I'd take that away from it all, mate. We've done quizzes, we've done gardens on the air, we've done get on the air to care, and we've had original call sign evening in conjunction with the radioactive night. So what's next? We'll have to see.
All right, guys, I'll say goodbye. Yeah.
Yeah, Oscar, it's been a pleasure. Take care, mate.
Yeah. Thanks for bearing with my connection issues.
Yeah, you're all right, pal.
All right. See you later.
Cheers, mate. See you.
Bye.
Right, brilliant. Thanks, Phil.
You're welcome, mate. Yeah, no
You're
problem at all.
Oh,
you're all right.
But thank you very much for your time.
No, thank you for yours. It's been a pleasure. Yeah.